But Joe Biden, oh my lord, the media has already been starting. The media has already been starting with their puff pieces because they want Joe Biden to run for president. Excuse me. They want Joe Biden to run for president because they want the status quo back. That's why we're launching Status Coup. So I found it very interesting that Joe Biden is getting a civil rights award. A civil rights award. Here you go. Biden Jackson received Freedom Awards, National Civil Rights Museum. Former Vice President Joe Biden was honored alongside Reverend Jesse Jackson and philanthropist Pitt Hyde with Freedom Awards from the National Civil Rights Museum. The 27th annual awards ceremony took place in downtown Memphis on Wednesday, honoring individuals who have made a global impact. In his remarks at the event, Biden told attendees that the country needs their energy and leadership, and that battle for the soul of America is taking place. I'll play a little bit for you.
I'm here to tell you that once again, we need your energy. Once again, we need your leadership. Once again, we need your renewed commitment to civil rights and civil justice. Because much of what you fought for and I played a small part in fighting for, and much of what you've accomplished is under siege now. Like no time since I've been involved in public life. I got involved because my state was segregated. But we need to renew this struggle now. We need to renew the fight. Because when it comes to freedom, equality, racial justice, hope often travels on the same track as hate.
Joe. So Joe Biden is getting a civil rights award. And I thought to myself when I saw that, wait a minute. Is this the same Joe Biden? Is this the same Joe Biden that wrote the crime bill? Is this the same Joe Biden that wrote the crime bill that put more black people in jail than any other law in American history? You know what I'm talking about? The 1994 crime bill, the 3 strikes that Bill Clinton signed that incarcerated more black men than anything else in American history. My main exposure to this was on the 2016 campaign trail when I was at the Young Turks. I was down in South Carolina before that primary. And I tried to do something a little different. So I went to a barbershop, a black-owned barbershop. And while I was getting my hair cut, I had a little bit more hair. If you notice, I'm thinning a little bit. But I had a little bit more hair. And the barber was nice enough to do an interview with me on camera. And then I spoke with other people at the barber. And it was super interesting because a lot of them were for Bernie specifically because of the crime bill that Bill Clinton signed and that Hillary Clinton supported. And they talked about jails that were opened right down the street because of that crime bill, and how their brothers and their cousins and their relatives have been in jail in some cases for marijuana or powdered cocaine. What they didn't mention, because many of them might not know, is Joe Biden, who just received a civil rights award, championed that legislation. He also championed welfare reform that threw single mothers off of welfare, majority black. So let's take a listen. When Joe Biden was asked in 2016, does he regret drafting the crime bill? Let's take a listen to that.
Another thing about how perspectives change over time. Bobby Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, "I'm ashamed that I voted for the '94 crime bill." You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. And in fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
And by the way, we talk about this mostly in terms of Black Lives Matter. Black lives really do matter. But the problem is institutional racism in America. That's the overarching problem that still exists. And we should be talking about it. And you look at it, the legacy of racism in housing and jobs and so on. But having said that, if you take a look at the crime bill, of the money in the crime bill, the vast majority went to reducing sentences, diverting people from going to jail for drug offenses into what I came up with, the drug courts, providing for boot camps instead of sending people to prison so you didn't relearn whatever the bad thing that, got you there in the first place. Put 100,000 cops in the street. When community policing was working, neighborhoods were not only safer, but they were more harmonious. And when the reason why the cops originally opposed my 100,000 cops for this community policing piece is because it's high intensive and it means they got to get out of their cars. So they literally got out of their cars and learned who owned the local drugstore, the local neighborhood bar, whatever.
Not at all. Not at all. Say it ain't so, Joe. He's not at all. He doesn't regret it at all. The majority of money went to people taking people out of prison, not putting people in prison. The majority of money went to making sure people didn't go to prison, Joe Biden says. I mean, you can't make this up, folks. You cannot make this up. He says the biggest problem is institutional racism. Well, it's pretty racist. It's pretty kind of linked to institutional racism. Throwing more black people in prison than at any other time in American history. That's pretty racist. Am I wrong? Am I, as they call Jimmy Dore, toxic? Am I toxic for pointing out that a man that wrote the bill that put more black people in jail in America than at any other presidency in American history? Yes, Bill Clinton signed it. He wrote it. That he's getting awards for civil rights, and he, 2 years ago, is literally lying. He's lying. Let me talk about institutional racism. You wrote a bill that disproportionately put black people in jail for marijuana or powdered cocaine. Nealon says, so toxic, pointing out these facts. I guess so. But, hey, I'm going to keep doing it. I don't care. Because I don't play for the Democrats or the Republicans. I play for you and the truth. And that might not make me as much money as just being on Team Blue or Team Red. But I don't really give a shit. I don't do this only for money. But we do need money. So this is a super chat. This is a super chat if you're feeling super. And we have a GoFundMe going. Nobody's contributed while we're live, so I'm putting it in. I'm putting it in one more time, folks. If I don't advocate for status quo, who will? But it's astounding to me. It's astounding to me the alternative reality that politicians like Joe Biden paint, and the media just sits there and frankly swallows it. I mean, that was CNBC, so of course that stooge isn't going to challenge him. But you literally have, and by the way, I'm white, so it's not as personal to me. But one of my best friends in the world is Thai. I have other black friends. I disproportionately go cover black communities. I've been to Flint 12 times. I've been to East Chicago 7 times. Standing Rock was not predominantly black, but I go and cover those minorities. I go and cover those with less of a voice. I go and cover communities that are being stomped on. And a lot of those communities are being stomped on because they're poor as well as the color of their skin. Cheryl, hello Jordan, 40 minutes later. Okay, I'm here. YouTube is late. I'm not. Cheryl, you're not in trouble. YouTube is. But to me, it is absolutely insane. And by the way, gotta keep it real. Shame on, what is this? What is the name of this museum? Shame on the National Civil Rights Museum. I mean, I'm white, so I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but did you research this man? Did you research him? It's not only the crime bill. It's the crime bill. It's welfare reform. He was one of the leading people in the Senate to deregulate the banks. Do you know who is disproportionately screwed by the 2008 criminal financial crash? Black people. I mean, this pisses me off. And you know what? We're going to have Politico and the Washington Post and CNN and MSNBC. 2016 was Extreme Makeover Hillary edition. We're going to have 2020 Extreme Makeover Biden edition if he runs. Be happy, be grateful. Thank you for the $1.99 of the super chat. Thank you very much. Batchat says if only they had a 3-strike law for bankruptcy, the orange man would not have a business to fund his platform. I agree. If only they had term limits too, which is one of the things I want to cover in the field for Status Quo. Because there is a movement trying to push term limits, and it's picking up a little steam. We just need the funding. Where are we at? Where are we at, baby? Hold on. All right. Still at 13,115, but I'm okay with it. We'll get there. We'll get there. We will get there. So I just got to say, we're going to see more of this. We're going to see more of the totally repainting of Joe Biden's record. We're going to see more ridiculous awards that he shouldn't get. And you know what? The bottom line is this. The people that are going to suffer most are African Americans and black people. If a Joe Biden, well, let me rephrase that because Trump is worse for them. But this rewriting of history, this giving accolades and awards to the very people who have screwed our black brothers and sisters is offensive to the black community and is offensive to actual civil rights. We need to base our political discourse on facts, not a extreme makeover of history. Thank you, Neilon. $2. Support independent news. Democracy dies if not. I agree. And the only way to retake democracy is if we wake more people up.